And especially for Tyler, his reputation is that he's not afraid of taking a little comfort break in the car in his suit. So,
Well, sometimes it ain't comfort.
well, I mean, he's getting some relief by just letting it all just oof. Yeah, I can't remember what race it was, but he had clearly pissed
It
himself.
was I don't know if it was that one. I was gonna say there was, what was it, the Darlington race last year. He threw up. I think he had like
Oh yeah,
upset. I think he had the bubble guts as well to keep it
yeah.
clean.
This is not how I envisioned my show starting this evening.
Well, that's what
This
happens when you make
is
us wait. We have idle hands. What's the
this
saying? Like
is
idle
gross.
hands are the devil's playground or workshop. What's the saying, Peyton? I know you know.
I know what you're getting after, and I can't remember.
Why do I
Why
keep
are
you
these dogs coming down
around?
here?
All right, go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. It's Jared, it's Art, it's Peyton. If you've gotten this far, hopefully you're still holding down your breakfast. Um, we are here post Nashville. Round of applause to Peyton for holding us down at the race this weekend. And if it wasn't for Peyton, you wouldn't have seen us on the Amazon Prime broadcast. If you missed it, Peyton got us on national television. Well, actually worldwide because Prime Video is everywhere. We got caught in 4K on the post race show. So thank you, Peyton. Really good video. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Nashville and some current events, and we'll see where the night takes us. Um, we'll start with Friday with the greatness. I got my shirt on. Um, Raja fought Claude and kept charging Lane Riggs and a charging Corey Haim behind him to end up on first take this morning and getting a shout out from Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith.
Huh?
That's funny. Stephen A. Smith, because he wins Friday night's truck race in Nashville. Let's talk about it. I'll start with you, Art, because I think Peyton has ran away for cookies. What do you think of the truck race?
I mean, this was one of those times where the good guy won, right? I was really happy with the race overall, even before the finish. I think it was pretty clear that him, Lane, and Corey Haim were by far the best three, especially late in the race. And so I was just very happy to see a nice long green flag run at the end. I think it was like, I don't know, 30, 35 laps or something. And to see them go out there and just try to execute and push, and they kept it very clean. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect that, especially considering there's been a little bit of history between Lane and Corey, recent history, right? Just a couple weeks ago it seemed like they were going out on pit road. So I was pleasantly surprised to see it be clean. But they were just racing really hard, and I think this was a case where Raj didn't have the best truck at that moment, but he did it just enough to win. We've talked about it being Corey versus the field in the truck series this year, and you want to pick Corey more weeks than not. But I'm so happy to see any and all success for Raj, right? Clinching a playoff spot, and getting off that, I guess you could call it a winless streak since he won last year, but they just hadn't been good for a lot of this season, and so this kind of erases away a lot of that. They've had good runs, but not been consistent. So I'm just very happy to see him get the win, and I'm glad to see how popular that win is in the garage. So many media people and drivers and anyone associated with the sport was happy and singing Raj's praise. Even his competitors were happy for him. So I think that just says a lot about him and his character. And it's hard to be that popular in NASCAR in 2025, right? It's really hard to be that beloved. And he's done it. So I'm just happy for him to get that success. And hopefully he can make some noise in the playoffs. Maybe they can find some speed or get some motivation out of this to really try to make a run at this. And if they get to that final race, you've got as good a shot as anybody at that point. So as dominant as Corey has been, it could easily still slip away from him. And he finished second this week. It wasn't like he was trash, but overall, it was a really good race. I was happy that I watched it flag to flag, enjoyed it. Yeah, great, entertaining Friday night of racing.
Peyton.
Really enjoyed it. And this is the special part of what NASCAR does really well. And I know we get it with other sports because you don't necessarily get to this level of other sports where you get to see the three final steps for most of your favorite athletes work their way up to the top series. So you've got ARCA, then Truck, then Xfinity, and then Cup Series. And so you get the joys of watching and supporting someone from not necessarily the ground floor. Like, we're not going to sit there. I was not watching his iRacing adventures. Sorry, I don't have that much free time on my hands. I'm not going to go sort of sniffing around the B open lobby at whatever hours he was racing during COVID. But this is just satisfying. And we got to do the same thing with Bubba Wallace, watching him when he was in, at that point, it was the K&N series, and then seeing the promise of how fast he was in the Truck series, and then watching the improvements that they make over the years of just making small improvements in their racecraft, in their technique. And on Friday, he just drove a really good race. The speed was there. He's shown that when the truck is right for him, he can produce. He had the advantage of track position. That's something that's super important because when he did not have that track position, he fell a decent ways back behind both the Corey Heim truck and the Lane Riggs truck. And at that point, I pretty much feel like, okay, a third is still a great day, gets things moving in the right direction. But once he captured clean air, and one of the things I always look at is when they're running in third or in fourth, what does their gap to the leader look like? And there was large portions where he was still closing that 1.6 second gap or the 2.6 second gap and was staying close or closing. And that gave me some confidence. But just overall, just a great win, smart drive, defensive enough, used, taking the right lane choice, putting the truck exactly where it needed to be. Because I don't know what Corey Heim found in those last 10, 15 laps, but that truck was a rocket ship. My wife was watching it. We were all, we were sitting down watching it. And I said there was no way he's going to be holding him off. I was just like, hey, second or third's a fantastic day. Bring it home. Don't do anything goofy. This is a great point today, but held him off. And then once they started fighting, you felt really good. And yeah, just so happy he was able to put it all together. There's still a few items that I'm interested to see how he continues to grow. Restarts, I think we had 3 restarts where he was in the lead. I think 2 were solid. 1, he didn't get a great one. So hopefully continue to see that improvement. But this just makes things a lot easier because now he's in the playoffs. Truthfully, he's got 2 drivers each week that he knows are going to be in contention to winning. And if he can start, clicking off top 5s, he can make a very nice run in this postseason once it sort of gets going. But yeah, just really nice to see. And also love the fact, really good crowd support there. So nice to see that he's got he's on the good side of the NASCAR fan base. And I think that's always nice to see.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Why is it that Raja's met with such love and welcoming and support and graciousness, and Bubba receives hatred and tomatoes and
Jarrett?
disdain?
Do you
I'm
want the
so
answer to that question?
I'm so glad you asked that. I was hoping someone asked that because I was thinking about it, and it made me think about going to those Xfinity Series races when Bubba was, in that series still, and his pre 2000, uh, the noose, all everything involved with that. Like before, Bubba was quite popular, and I don't know, it adds an interesting dynamic in terms of what role. It's a difficult question to answer because
It's
the way it makes us feel as fans, it feels uncomfortable, the reception that Bubba gets. But it's also hard to look at that in like that way that Raj gets a lot of love and support. And our first reaction with Bubba is like, okay, is it, it's simply just plain old racism, but
okay.
it's hard to reconcile all of that
Let
when we
me
look at
let me
everything involved. So
let me jump in because it's very clear. I'm interested. I'm surprised that there's any waffling on it. So to Peyton's point, we've got the evidence to back it on this specific topic, right? So like you mentioned, Bubba was very beloved and considered pretty, well popular. He was, not a front runner by any stretch, right? But like a mid-pack marker in his petty days, especially early in his career. The thing that changed all of that for Bubba was the combination of the Talladega Noose incident and NASCAR getting rid of the Confederate flag and them combining those incidences in that segment of the NASCAR audience. And so they blame Bubba for that. They consider it this hoax. They call him, Bubba Slimilette or whatever on Twitter. Like that is the focal point from where Bubba's fandom in NASCAR split, right? It went from, oh, he's pretty generally liked as like a guy who's trying to make it. He doesn't have a famous last name, yada yada. To now it's either, hey, I like this guy. You guys, a decent number of fans that are neutral, but then you've got this huge, very vocal side that just see him as everything wrong with the woke DEI NASCAR that we have today. And the reason why Raj is so beloved is the same reason for the most part Daniel Suarez is beloved, is that he has not done anything professionally, in his private life or anything like that that has really rocked the boat or upset the status quo in NASCAR. And so, there's a very famous phrase that a lot of black people have heard in their lives, I'm sure, called one of the good ones. And Raj and Daniel are in that boat for those people. And Bubba is not in that boat ever since those incidences. So to me, it's very clear that's the reason why. Like if Raj came out with, a Black Panthers hoodie on and was like raising the Black Power fist, then he might not be getting the same love that he does right now from that segment of the crowd. But he hasn't done anything like that, and I don't expect him to. I don't want him to, unless he feels the urge, like the compelled to do it. But that's 100% the reason why. And it's the same reason why, like I said, Suarez gets the same thing. Like Suarez is not out. If Suarez came out railing against the president for the things he said about Mexicans, he would not be getting cheered. Like he would be in the same boat. And I think that's just the reality of how, again, that segment of the NASCAR audience views drivers that are in the minority that aren't, you're either one of the good ones or you're not.
let me ask you this, because you really put it a lot more eloquently than I was sort of stumbling around with. One, we know that Bubba has I guess, mentorship type role with Raja. They seem to be close, friendly, they communicate and everything.
Yeah.
With everything that Bubba's experienced post 2020, do you think he's ever told him, hey, be yourself, but realize, hey, would he say, don't necessarily do or run the path that I am? Because things, I think for Bubba, I think it was inevitable. I think that period in time was something we hopefully won't have to experience again. But it's how do you think, if you're Bubba, how do you think you sort of mentor Raj in that? Because I can't imagine the past several years have been fun for Bubba in terms of what he has to put up with on social media, getting booed at most tracks each week for something that you said and believe in. Do you think it's something that he's brought up with Raja? And
Oh, 100%. 100%. No, yeah, I have no doubt that they. I mean, like, I don't know either of them, right? But 100%. When there's only two of y'all, like you got you got to look out for each other. And I think I don't know what advice he would give him, but I would imagine I imagine what the advice he would give him would be. If you're going to feel that strongly about something, or you want to take a public stance on it, I think you kind of got to wait until you're essential, right? Like Bubba in Xfinity in the 6 truck was not essential, right? He could have very easily been replaced. And I mean, I guess you could kind of make that argument in the 43 could have been replaced, but like, especially now, like he even said Sunday night, right? Like he's the second highest tenured guy in Toyota right now, behind Denny, right? Like he now has some weight behind who he is, and he drives money, and they have a team built on his back. Raj is still on the climb. He has not yet made it. And I would imagine he would tell him, hey, look, right now you just got to stay the course. Like the sky is the limit for this kid. Like he's so good. And I think you just don't want to see someone get diverted, right? Like you see the same thing in like other sports where like basketball, where they're like, hey, look, this kid lives our neighborhood. He's really good. Like we're not going to mess with him. We're going to make sure he gets out because he's good enough that the stars can align for him to do big things. And I feel like, yeah, that's why Raj does not. he's not manicured by any stretch, like maybe like some of the HMS guys are, but he does not say anything controversial. He just goes out there. He's still himself and he's authentic, but he knows like I have to be in line. I have to be twice as good for half as much right now. But I would zero doubt in my mind that they talk about this.
Excellent. Very good. Good dialogue. Roger's second career win. He punches himself into the playoffs. So there's going to be a postseason appearance for Raj, and of course, we had literally just talked last week about the speed of the Spire truck program, and why does everybody on the outside not running full time gets to jump in and beat all the full time drivers? It was really, really good for a full time Spire truck to win. So everybody from Spire, I feel like, was congratulating Raj Friday night. Michael McDowell was there, Hocevar was there, and even Hocevar, when they interviewed him, they said that it was really good for a full time truck to win, to give that much more momentum back to the shop, so they can come back with more, speed, hopefully, so they can he can contend for another win here shortly, maybe even at Michigan this weekend. So good on him. Saturday night under the lights, there was some mayonnaise in victory lane. Justin Allgaier holds off the Haas factory team, and his is Connor technically his teammate? Even though he signed the Trackhouse, is he technically his teammate in Xfinity?
I guess, right? Kind of.
Technically. But neither here nor there. He holds off Connor's Illich as well, stifling back his opportunity at his first win in Xfinity to win the Xfinity race on Saturday, and gave an ass whooping. Stage 1, Stage 2, the race win, and the Xfinity fastest lap, becoming the first person in Xfinity to maximize the first 61 point day. What'd you think of the Xfinity race, Peyton? You were there. You came, you saw, you conquered.
Yeah, so I was trying. I had to watch the highlights because that race I decided to really try to explore as much of the track as possible. So I was on pit road. I was commuting from the infield to the the press box, which, oh my gosh, that is a lot more frightening up there than it is at Martinsville because you're about 6 billion feet in the air. And full disclosure, even though I'm 6'5", I find heights that I can fall off of terrifying. So yes, a little bit nerve wracking. Needless to say, I did not stick around too long. Anywho, feels like I didn't watch a single lap of this. And then I realized all that blended together because, as you were saying, it was belt to tushy. 101 laps led over the course of a 188 lap race. Yeah. And here's the thing too. I have railed, I think, in weeks past about JR Motorsports or Junior Motorsports, however they want to call it themselves, being I'd like to say, with Joe Gibbs, probably the most well-funded. I'd say maybe Richard Childress, but they're the only fully fielded 4-car team out there. And they looked like it in terms of their performance out there. Every single JR Motorsports car was in the top 10. I mean, yeah, as is classified, Allgaier, Zilich, you had Chastain in a JR Motorsports car rolling in 5th, had Sammy in 10th. I mean, they just ran through the field and just dominated. The saddest part was, of course, Sheldon Creed. Those Haas cars, that's probably the best it feels like I've seen them look this year so far. It still feels like they'll have a couple performances where they'll have real race winning speed. We saw that last year with Riley. And so it'll be interesting to see where that pops up because I'm still in the tank for Sheldon Creed's first win. It's coming. We all know it is. It's inevitable. So had a really good run this week and finishing 4th, but it's just around the corner for Sheldon.
Arthur.
I mean, just around the corner. How big is the corner, my brother?
Well, it's, a NASCAR track has 4 corners. So I didn't say which corner. We could be rounding corner 1, but it's around one of these corners. Come on now. Just needs more time. Give him more time.
You knew he was going to have a point of contention when you said that.
I just, when you say inevitability, that's when I just draw the line. That's a bridge too far for me. But I mean, I watched this race and it really was a whooping, man. I continue to come on here every week and we talk about the bottom 2 series, and I feel like Justin just continues. He's the main character, right? Like, they have like main character syndrome. He's just the main character of the Xfinity series this year. Corey Haim is the same in trucks, right? Like every week, even if they don't win, they are directly involved in the main story. Like they are not in the C plot of any race. And for him to have a max points day, right, both stages and the win, I think it's still impressive, man. Like every week he's just there. It was interesting to see him and Connor. That was kind of a fun restart, right, where they both had tires, and I can't remember who was in front of them. Didn't take tires, and then just kind of that race to get around and get to the lead and drive away. But yeah, they just had a really great car. Also, that wreck, Peyton, did you see the wreck in stage 3? It's like 90 to go or something, or 95 to go on the restart.
The gigantic parking lot that opened up.
Oh my God, man, that was like Talladega at Nashville. Like, what in the world?
It was the most bizarre thing because after I got over my being terrified of heights, I went down and got right to the start finish line. I was like, let me just hang out here, see what's going on, and yeah, whole field got wiped out in front of me. So yeah, strange, man. I think who spun the tires?
I think. I mean, I don't want to blame Creed, but I think it might have been Creed who just didn't go because he was on the front row. These
are the things you've got to do to get that first win.
I mean, and I don't say that to just like blame him as like point lap. I legit think it was him. So yeah, no, it was a solid race. I mean, he's running better, Sheldon. I'll give him that for sure. Like, it's not like and again, like as I always say, like I don't think he's a back mark or anything. Like he belongs in the Xfinity Series, but I still need to see something out of him. But overall, like I said, I just think it's another really impressive win. I tell you, this season, which I wonder what the points would be like under the old point system, because he's just running away with it right now. I feels like, again, every week he's not finishing first, he's finishing second or third, all Grier. But yeah, I mean, this race was definitely was the least memorable of the three for me so far coming out of the weekend. But I mean, I don't mind an ass whooping every now and then.
It wasn't Sheldon's fault. I just want to put that out there.
Whose fault was it then?
So you have to go when the leader goes. The leader can go at any point in time between line A and line B. If you jump the gun and you go before the leader, it's not the leader's fault. Nobody clearly watches Max Verstappen when he takes off of restarts.
Don't you dare bring up Max Verstappen when we're talking about Sheldon Creed.
I'm going to.
They're the same guy if you think about it.
I just did that. That just happened. I just did it.
That's a great insight by you, Jarrett.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't care about F1 enough for that to have had any impact on me. But he doesn't look like he goes.
I watched the replay because they showed it several times, and he went. Everybody else anticipated him going sooner than he did. That's not his fault.
Let me rephrase. Yeah, he went, but he went like a second and a half after.
It's his prerogative. He's the leader. Those are the rules.
No, this is like a
no, actually no, because he's not in the box. He's out of the zone. That's the problem. He's going as he's out of the zone.
So this was like a false start in football where everyone except the center moves, and it just means that the center wasn't paying enough attention, and he was behind the curveball anyway. So
this is not
Sheldon
me
knew the
bad
rules.
mouthing.
He just wasn't locked in.
Yeah, this is not me bad mouthing Sheldon Creed as a bit.
You're sure?
Like, I've
done it all.
I told you I don't hate this man. I just hate when y'all hype him up like he's the next Jeff Gordon. But I'm all right.
I never made those claims. I just feel
all right.
like
He's in the zone. He's in the zone. He's in the zone. Yeah, I think he goes too late, bud. I think he's going too late.
Define too late.
Outside of the restart zone. On the flag side of the restart zone. That's what I mean. Too late. Yes, it's your prerogative to go whenever you want to, but if I'm waiting for you to go by the time you cross the line, after you cross the line, I'm expecting you to go.
Well, he didn't get a restart violation, so he was within the rules.
Oh, I mean, they've had 80,000 fucking cars to clean up. They didn't have time to look at that.
The hell they did in this NASCAR. They always go back and look at that shit.
Okay. A parking lot.
If I've learned nothing, NASCAR will penalize you. Speaking of the funding of Junior Motorsports, Peyton, go ahead and fire up the Candy Crush. We're not going to give any spoilers, but I want to talk about how masterful the Earnhardt documentary is. If you have not seen it, please devote 5 hours of your time to watch it. I finished it right before recording, and if that series does not win Emmys, Golden Globes, Academy Awards, and whatever, things that like ESPYs, whatever awards that documentaries can win, that needs to sweep. It needs to sweep. It was that fucking good. Like, I walked away having so much more. Like, I knew I liked Junior because, like, I rooted for him when Dale Jarrett retired, and he went to Hendrick and kept Dale's number. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just rock with you, Junior. And like, I sort of knew like why I liked him, but I feel like walking away from that, I'm more of a fan of Junior than I was once before.
Yeah. I'll just say, one, I echo everything you just said. Like, if you haven't watched it, this is the closest thing to mandatory viewing I feel like there has been for NASCAR content in 10 years, 12 years, maybe. I don't know. Like, I can't think of anything that's been as good in terms of NASCAR media. Every time I was thinking about this last night, like I finished episode 4 before the Cup race last night, and every time I think about like. I should have to say, like, there wasn't a lot of new information for me, right? Like, I think a lot of us are really familiar with the story of the Earnhardts at this point. But there was so much more depth to it and color to it. And I think I'll start at the top. I think they showed a really well-rounded view of Dale Sr., right? I think it's so easy for fans to just worship at the altar at the church of Dale. He's become this deity figure in the 25 years since he's passed. But I think they showed him as a real, raw, flawed human, right? Which I think we all are. And that's what I really appreciated. But, I was going to say, the more that I think about it, about this family, it just feels like a Greek tragedy, right? Like this feels like it's the story of fathers and their children and trauma that doesn't get addressed, closure that you don't get, right? This obsession to be the best at something. Just the role Daytona plays in this family's history and story, like that one place alone, right? It's such a compelling story. And the fact that it's a real story. I mean, I think that's the other part about it. The one takeaway I had coming out of the 4th episode was just that the saddest thing to me is that Dale didn't really get to enjoy the fruits of his labor, right? Like if his life was a garden, he was all in water in the racing career part. Like that was a fucking redwood tree that was 300 feet tall. It was massive. And he really didn't spend much of his life on the fatherhood side. And it seemed like near the end of his life, like he had begun kind of watering that side, and it was starting to cultivate and grow, and he didn't get to see and live and enjoy the results of it. So that was that's one of the harder things, I think, to take away. It's like, it's one thing if you're just an asshole forever and then you die, but it's more heartbreaking when it's like, oh, you had changed, like you'd grown as a person, right? And it seemed like he absolutely had. Neil Bonnet, his role in Dale's life was really impactful, and his passing. And then Kelly Earnhardt, like, girl, you are a fucking rock star, dude. Like, she's so underrated. I feel like just the importance that she had on that family alone, it's really interesting to see and understand. Like, she just sacrificed so much. And then I think the last part, this isn't spoilers, right? Like we all know what happens at this point, but like I'm watching the end, right, of the 01 500, like that section. And I swear to you, like I'm watching it, I get anxious. Like my stomach starts hurting. Did you feel that way?
Man,
my stomach starts hurting.
Man,
I'm not going to say like I was sitting there like sweating, but like I feel anxious. Like I feel like a knot in my chest. Like no bullshit. Like you keep watching it and you're just like hoping it'll be different this time,
right.
Like every time.
Right.
And like, you know how the story ends. And you're just like, come on, just this one time. It's like a curse. Like you watch it. And afterwards, I was just thinking like someone could probably go back and do the math and tell you like how many thousands of laps he turned at that track. And this is like the last one you want to just grow a little differently. And it just doesn't. And it just, God, I was like, I wasn't getting choked up at that point, but it's just like, it's just such a gut punch, man. It's just so hard. It's just so hard. And then, of course, like, Dale Jr. coming back and winning in July. Like, I mean, I get choked up every time I watch clips from that. I remember watching that race live. And like, I just didn't, as a kid, like, I did not comprehend the importance of it. I sat down and I think my earliest racing memory is the 01 500. Like that's my earliest that I can clearly remember. Like I know I watched racing before then, but if you ask me to like tell you what the earliest thing I can recall watching in the moment, it was that race. And yeah, like I just, man, I get choked up every time I watch that race because it's like the healing that like he needed, the fans needed, that those teams needed. Yeah, it's just I could spend another 90 minutes talking about that documentary. And that story in general, like it's such I have like such a love hate feeling towards the story of this family, just because again it's a Greek tragedy. Like there's such highs and lows in it. And I think this does a really good job of painting that full picture without, you know, peppering over the lowlights and the mistakes and the times he was an asshole, and you know, if he wasn't being a good dad. Like I think they do a good job of showing him as a full human.
Right.
The only thing I would have liked, I guess, out of this, and I'm sure they asked, but I would have loved to have heard something from Teresa, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it, but I would have loved to have heard that. You know, the part about like, hey, so Dale Jr., you know, your dad just died, but we're gonna make you go do all of his media responsibilities. Spoiler. That part, I was just like, I sat up and I was like, oh, you're kidding.
As you should be. That was so
I
bad.
sat
That was
up.
so bad.
I was so heated for this man. I mean, this dude, he's like 22, right? He's a kid. Like he's a child still. Like I don't care that you're over 18. Like you're still a child at that age in your life. Um oh man, yeah. Like I would love for her to at least given her side of the story, you know, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. I think that would have been a good place for her to speak her piece, but I mean, she doesn't have to. She's not obligated to, but it would have been nice. But like I said, that aside, it's the closest thing I've ever seen to mandatory viewing from something related to NASCAR, right? Maybe like Days of Thunder. I think that might be the only other thing where it's like you have to watch this. Is like the core essence of NASCAR, and I would put this first above that. So if you're listening, you haven't watched or you haven't finished it, I implore you to go back and watch it. Like they do it right. They give it the story
It's
justice.
in 4K.
I mean, yeah, like the footage they have is so great, and like I said, Dale is
It's
just
so crispy.
it's just like I said, this dude he's very complicated, and they just do a really good job of telling that story of him. And even though like I said, even though you know how it ends, like it's still a journey with taking. I think it definitely left me like an impact on me, like not just as like a fan, but like as a human. I was like,
Yeah.
man, like yeah, there's this one clip, and Dale Jr.'s talking. He's like, you know, you're going 100 miles an hour and you don't see the end, and then suddenly you crest and you realize you're closer to the end than you are the beginning. And I was just like,
Mm.
oh shit, bro. Like,
Bars.
Dale, you didn't have to go that hard, man. You
Bars.
didn't have to go that hard. Anyway, like it legit like changed part of me, and I don't, you know, I don't get paid. I'm not to gas this up to tell you, but like it definitely left me a little. I don't want to say shook, but just changed as a person. I
Yeah,
think
it
that's
fucked
what
me
the
up.
job
It
of
fucked me
good
up,
media
but
is.
in a
You
good
know?
way though.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we talked about it for like 15 minutes, but go watch it. Go watch it, Peyton. I know you're watching it probably as we speak, which I appreciate. Good job.
Yeah, it's masterful. If this does not sweep every category it's nominated for, the production team has done a disservice. Like, and I know we come on here sometimes and we give some harsh criticisms to NASCAR, but whoever was behind that footage, thank you. NASCAR, thank you. Junior, I know Dirty Mo had a hand in it. Thank you. Like Kelly and the moms and the aunts. It would have been interesting to see. Like I know Taylor was really young, but just to see like her side of things or what she felt or whatever. But golly, man, that's just yeah. I'll sort of share the same sentiments Art did. Like I'm watching it and I'm like, oh fuck, here it comes. Oh fuck, here it comes. And this is like Tony's wreck. Tony had a really bad wreck that race. Horrible wreck.
You
Horrible
know,
wreck.
I was thinking about it as we watched, as I watched it. Tony's wreck and um, Priest's wreck at Charlotte on the backstretch
Mm.
are neck and neck for the nastiest wrecks I've ever seen live. I think, like, terrifyingly awful.
Horrible wreck, man.
And yeah, no, just oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the end credits, and it said how Kelly helped Junior secure the bag when he went to Hendrick as like one of the richest like contracts in like racing history. I was like, yeah, that's right, Kelly. Get that money.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was. Peyton, you better be watching that tomorrow, but you better take some time, bake a dozen cookies, and have yourself 3 each episode, and you'll be done with a dozen cookies by the time you're done watching.
Truthfully, I don't know. Jerry, you and I are roughly around the same age. Were you watching back then?
I was. So it was like sort of the art had touched on it, like it was so surreal.
Yeah.
I remember watching the 2001 Daytona 500. Like it's like crazy. It came right back. Like it came right back to me. I remember sitting in my parents' house, sitting on the couch. We're in front of the big screen TV because we had just got it back then. And we're sitting there watching the 500. And like, I remember looking at my dad and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think he made it. Like, I remember like Tony Stark looking back through the lens, like seeing his younger self. Like, I saw myself and I was like,
oh gosh.
Woo.
That's the biggest thing that scares me. I just remember, so I would have been 2001. I would have been like 14, maybe 15. So I'd been a fan of NASCAR since like 95 or something. So I mean, Dale was the guy,
right?
And he was my favorite driver, and like the whole 3 months. I mean, just sobbing. I mean, too old to be sobbing, but just sobbing, just nonstop, and like, yeah, as Arthur put it, extremely well. Just that's like going back and having to rethink about that. 2000.
Yeah, that's what I said. That fucked me up.
Yeah,
that fucked me up.
So I'm not certain whether I'll be watching it like this way. I mean, it's definitely been a list. I just don't do well when it comes to extended media. Like I watch all 3 series involved with NASCAR plus IndyCar plus F1 all sessions. So I do struggle when it comes to extracurricular because I feel like I've already commandeered the TV enough. Right. So, but I'm really glad to hear that it's been really well done because there have been a few attempts to tell the Earnhardt story, some better than others. Like I know ESPN did one relatively a few years after his passing. I don't know how that was because it wasn't even a documentary. It was like
it's like a movie almost.
A movie, yeah.
It's like one of those E60 things.
No,
you're thinking of it's called 3. Yeah, I remember when it came out, it was such a big deal. Like, oh my god, that like the world stopped. Living in North Carolina, like the first big
people to do the story, right?
Yeah, but it had like actors like doing each of the people. Like that was the thing.
Yeah, it was like a movie. Like it was basically a movie biography of Dale's life up to that point.
But this is the sort of content now, whether it draws, and it's not actually, about the sport is important enough and the people involved with it are important enough that they deserve this high level quality look into their lives because Dale Sr. was a uniquely human person in terms of he was a jerk. Like he could be an absolute jerk. And it's good to know that they don't try to hide those things from you. But as you're saying, like he was also extremely compassionate. So it's good to see that his legacy gets this level of film and not just another Fox special that will air, at 2 a.m. And those Fox specials have been good. I mean, the one they do between Jeff and Dale have all been good, but yeah, hopefully it allows for more of the unique individuals from the sport to also maybe get a little bit of an extra look as well. So yeah, I hope it does very well for Amazon. I hope it gets lots of awards, and if I watch it, I'll report back.
Yeah, man, it's like if everybody's all up in arms that you gotta, you pay for Prime Video. You have it when you already have Prime, you get Prime Video for free. But I don't think people I wouldn't say value, but they don't realize the value that you get for that free 30 days. Like, yeah, you get to watch all the races, but you also get to watch the documentary as a part of it. And I feel like that for me, I mean, obviously I already have Prime, but that's a selling point to me because I just know that I know the documentary is going to do numbers. Like I just know that it is, and it's really impactful after seeing it and like analyze it from our points of view. We're NASCAR media, we get to dissect and sort of to see how like the role that we play in all of this. Um, it just like sort of like you appreciate what you have sometimes. Like I'm appreciative that we get to do this and we get to cover this sport because this is we say all the time, and Art was harping on it last week that Amazon, we need somebody that's going to invest in the sport and do it right and bring NASCAR back to the spotlight. And if they've had two banger broadcasts and an award-winning docu series in like the first like 15 days of this shit, like what else can you wow us with? Like what's next? You gonna let me like AI drive the car with the Oculus on next? Like what's up? What we doing? But yeah, phew, I need to take a drink. Goodness gracious, y'all gotta come me up here. Yeah. Moving on from that, to give Amazon more flowers for what a masterful broadcast yesterday was. Peyton, you were at the race, but I'm just letting you know, if you go back and watch the highlights of this in your 4K on your couch, you will feel proud that Nashville got done right.
Buddy, I actually went back and watched when I got back from the track. Said this afternoon, I've watched about most of the second stage because I did want to see how some of those accidents happen. It's, for me, what Amazon does very well are all the fine details. So when Bubba Wallace got trapped a lap down, they started talking about, oh, he's had a rough month. And what did they have ready to go? They had footage of all those accidents that happened. They gave you the context. That's attention to detail that is impressive, just really impressive. And they're on top of it in terms of knowing who is where in terms of where the field, when that caution came out that saved Bubba's race, they knew, like, oh, by the way, lucky dog. They were just on top of it. Still a few items, which, hey, I get it. If you're not, their job is to focus on the whole field. So they may make a slight stumble, like one of my pet peeves, and it's nothing against any broadcaster because, as mentioned, they've got focused on 36 cars, is when they do not realize that a battle has already happened. And they interpret it as like, oh, someone's trying to make a pass. Like, no, you're late to the game. A pass has already occurred, and they're still just running close to each other. That still happens. That's inevitable. Because like I said, I can't watch all of it. But the audio, the visuals, but for me, just the attention to detail and everything feels professional and serious. There's nothing goofy. Folks, this is a big money sport. Like, don't let Fox let you believe that this is just a joke of a competition where, oh, it's just all for funsies. This isn't high-level professional sports. No, this is serious stuff. This is $1 million teams or multi-million-dollar teams, drivers worth millions of dollars. Yeah. And Nashville also, I try to get some feedback from some of the folks who were in the stands, how their experience was. Still a few issues of traffic, but I will say kudos to Nashville because from how they've grown in terms of getting folks in and out of the facility has improved tremendously. I don't know whose call it was to make this a night race, but I commend them for it. I also commend them for moving it forward instead of the late June, which is brutal and from a heat circumstance. I'd like to think that made a much better viewing experience for the fans. The pre-race concerts, mind you, that's not my scene, the artists they had, but it looked like folks were enjoying that. So they've really done a good job of building it up. I'm critical of SMI on a lot of things, but when it was Dover Group who ran it prior, yeah, it didn't have this quite level of everything that goes into it. And you can give SMI a lot of crap. they at least know how to put together the basics of a NASCAR weekend from a fan experience in terms of, hey, here's how you get people in, here's how you get people out, here's how you coordinate with law enforcement to at least put things together. They did a very good job on that, and it's nice to see that despite it not being really super close to Nashville, that it sold out, and hopefully they continue to keep their place on the schedule. And yeah, the race itself, I thought it was really good. I could still see where it was tough to pass, but you had to sort of set it up by running the middle lane and then jumping down low to sort of do a pre-crossover to make a move happen. I think we did get sold a false bill of goods because we saw several drivers move their way through the field, namely Bubba and Kyle Larson. But a lot of that was through pitch strategy and items like that. So still a bit of a ways to go, but I think overall it was a solid race. This track should consistently give you good racing, not necessarily ones that you will always go back and remember, but racing that I think the folks who watch on TV, the folks who attend, can always feel good about going back to, because it's still a very unique track. In terms of the actual results, Ryan Blaney figured it out. His team figured it out very early in terms of very low tire wear. So going to that 2-tire strategy to go ahead and get that track position was an inspired pick. It was fascinating to see the Penske group managed to rebound after a terrible end of their May in IndyCar and NASCAR. And they definitely looked a lot stronger. They figured something out, and they were able to capitalize on it. The 11 car was also very, very strong. Just needed that track position. And Carson Hocevar, once again, another strong week, and did his Carson Hocevar thing where found another enemy to make. And those are the things that sort of endear me to him. So what did you guys think? I'm very curious to see what Art has to say, because he is usually very clear on his feelings on this. So I'm very curious to see, Art, how you enjoyed the race in terms of the on-track action.
Yeah. First, I'll start with. Did you see? You'll love this. Did you see the clip? The Prime Sports video posted where they asked Dale Jr. which modern day drivers, are most like Dale Sr., and Hocevar was on his list.
I did see that, and
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you like him. Maybe that's the synergy, since you said he was your. See, look at that. We're connecting threads we didn't even realize.
No, I just like people who just annoy other people.
So why do you love me then?
Let me explain to you, buddy.
I thought Peyton touched on a lot of what my thoughts were on the race. I think for a Gen 7 car, I thought this was a good race. I actually enjoyed a lot of it. It did get an Amazon boost for me. Right? I think just the seriousness, the production quality, that helps. Right, that's continued to help make it's like a +2 on the scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to these races. And I agree. Like Bubba, Larson, Reddick, where they were able to make their way through the field. But I think something you didn't touch on is that there was a lot of attrition for a 1.5 mile track. There were probably 7 or 8 cars maybe that DNF'd. I feel like there were a lot of wrecks, especially in the middle of the race. And so that helps, right? You get 5 or 6 spots just off of avoiding some of the catastrophes and and the messiness that comes with it. But yeah, I think the whole air blocking thing is still going to be a problem forever. I don't blame, as I always say, like I don't blame the track for that. I blame the car. Blaney was leading in like the last 10 laps. He could not pass by, I think it was SVG, who was definitely a slower car, but just because of the air, I just couldn't get around him. But I thought this was a pretty good race, honestly. It was pretty close for a lot of it. In the beginning, they got a little spread out for me. When you're 3/10 of a second, you know, away at least 3/10 of a second up to a second apart between everyone, like it's just so hard to make those passes. It's doable, but it's just really, really difficult. But I enjoy the pit strategy for sure. I like that there was long green runs. I like Nashville as a track. Honestly, I like the fact that we have a couple concrete tracks on the schedule. I think it's something different and unique. Um, I don't. You were talking about you hoping this keeps its date. I don't see any reason why this would lose its date. I thought it put on a pretty good show considering the limitations that every track faces on the schedule this year.
Well, I think that one of my fears was when the Nashville Fairgrounds, was picking up a lot of steam. I think a lot of people were sort of putting like, oh, this is just a transition experiment because the real prize for Nashville is having it at the fairgrounds. I can't speak to the fairgrounds. I've never been. I've heard it's much more located within Nashville, which is probably the reason why it's not going to happen. But
Right.
yeah, I feel a lot more secure about the places, about NSS's place on the schedule, given it doesn't seem like the fairgrounds is going to happen. So that's where I always get nervous because, yeah, I think people really have a dream of getting the fairgrounds back up.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's valid for sure. But I mean, like I said, this is now at least what 2 years in a row that it's put on a good performance. I don't remember last year's race in crazy high detail, but I remember coming away from it satisfied. It wasn't one of those races that I hated or really disliked.
Last year was the restart Recathon where there were
That's
five
right.
overtimes. The
Five
year
overtimes.
prior, I think, it was the one car with some really good three wide action for several laps. I think the 2023 race is probably the best that track's put on.
No. But yeah, no, I actually enjoyed it. It's funny, yeah. Peyton in the chat was throwing all this shade about how I woke up to him talking all this mess about me in the chat, talking about how I was gonna hate this race. I didn't hate this race at all. I enjoyed a lot of it. Like I said, outside of maybe the first 50 laps or so, like I said, once they got spread out. Again, I think grading on the Gen 7 curve, I thought it was a really good race considering. We talked about Prime and the broadcast. I just want to give my little story from Prime. So with this being a night race, right? Like the race ends around what 10:30 or so, right? Like it started at 7 around 10:30. Prime had so much post race coverage, I couldn't stay up to watch it. I said, I gotta go to bed, bro. I'm tired. This is 11 o'clock. I have to go to bed. Blaney hadn't even come out yet. I was gone. I was like, I appreciate this. I love this, but I am gassed. I have to go to bed. I didn't have that problem with Fox. I saw every little bit of Fox's coverage. But yeah, no, I think that they continue to do a really good job. I'm happy that they followed up with the same level of quality that they had at Charlotte. I thought they would. I feel like if you put that much work into this production, that it's not going to be just for a one-off, right? I think they're really trying hard to knock it out of the park for this series of races that they have. And I mean, so far they have not shown anything that tells me they shouldn't have. Honestly, every single race. I know I keep saying 36 races, but I stand by it. Like, give me 36 races, and you can change up the broadcast booth like every month. Like we'll rotate, guys, get them a month on, a month off. Like I'm totally fine with that at this point. But yeah, no, all in all, it was a good race. Blaney winning is nice, right? It's a popular win. Bubba ran well, like came back. So yeah, it was all good on my end. Peyton, that's what you get for assuming.
Yeah, this race was a cooker. I was fully invested. Obviously with Bubba having his speeding pilly early, had to pull myself out the mud a little bit. Like, oh nope, long race, let's watch. I feel like to Art Payton's point, the expectations that I have for this car on a track like Nashville, it exceeded those. You had everything you wanted. You had pitch strategy, you had calamity, and you had long green flag run. to close it out and see who was going to do what when what happened and all this other sort of stuff. So, fantastic race. Sucks for Corey. He self-cleared into Brad Keselowski, and his day got finished. I don't know if he has any more plans to run again in the Cup car this season, but hopefully he gets another shot because he definitely had speed. He was fast Sunday night. There's Stenhouse and Hocevar beef.
Oh, yes.
Stenhouse said that the next time I see you, sucker, you ain't gonna like it. So we have beef watch. Ricky says he's gonna get his lick back soon. Hopefully not at Michigan because that could be bad. But I like this little this rivalry. Ricky seems to have a lot of beef with people he doesn't feel like race him fair. I honestly, I feel like a lot of people aren't used to him being up front. Ricky was like, what, 13th, 14th in points coming into this race? Nobody used to him being up front. What you doing up here? You with the fast cars, bro? How you here?
I mean, in his defense, he did get shipped.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, 100%. Carson stood on it too. He's like,
I
could have done more with less. Of course, I hit him.
Right. I'm not mad at either side being upset, but yeah, no, like there's both sides are very justified. You can be like, yeah, I'm not. It's not my job to live for you, but yeah, there's never been a more justified crash. I mean, that to me was probably more justified than him at the All-Star race last year, right? Because this is for points. This matters.
It's real life.
So, yeah, ain't an exhibition now.
It's real life.
The other thing is with Hayek, I mean, that's a true one-car team.
Correct.
They don't have much of an allegiance. This is all them getting results. You know what's funny? RCR wanted to rebrand themselves as the blue-collar team. We're just a bunch of workers and this and that. You know who's a bunch of workers? Hayek. Because they're doing this by themselves. Like, they're bootstrapping their way through it. They don't have anything flashy, but they are just producing in a quiet way. And yeah, that's a huge blow because they didn't really get any stage points, barely scored any points. It helped give Bubba a bit of breathing room, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to be somebody's going to do payback on the track. I don't know. It would be interesting how it plays out. At some point, someone is going to have to line up Hocevar. It's going to happen. I don't know who it is.
It's coming.
All they've been doing is talking. I guess the clean, faultless shot that won't land you in NASCAR prison hasn't appeared itself yet, but I'm certain it will at some phase. And for some reason, you know what? I feel like it's going to be Gateway. I just feel like that's the track. If you need to go pay someone back, you do it at Gateway.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I feel like part of me feels like the whole like retaliation, the concern about retaliation for being punished from NASCAR is a bit overplayed. Like, I feel like as long as you don't right hook someone or do something on pit road or something like that, I honestly think you'll be fine. Because, like, again, Carson sent him. He didn't get a penalty. You know, Austin Cindric right hooked 2 guys this year. He ain't sit down for 1 lap, right? Like, I really do think there's been a bit of an overcorrection from the garage when it comes to this. I mean, I don't know what NASCAR is saying to them, you know, in these driver meetings or privately, but like, you just saw like there should be no flack on Ricky if he goes and does the exact same thing to Carson next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that, because he just got it done to him and you didn't sit him, right? Like, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay you didn't sit him. I don't want you to, but I don't know, man. I just feel like there's this looming hammer of justice might not actually be as real as like some of these teams think it is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I want to see violence. You know, don't do it in Michigan, but in Pocono, It's an old boy in turn one.
Come on
And just
now,
day
not
nice and early.
come on
Shoot, you could
now.
even do it off track. When you're headed to Mexico, maybe you just
Mm,
like tell them
What you
like,
about to
"Hey,
say?
don't
What you
worry
about
about
to
this
say?
bottled water. Just no, trust me. No, the tap
see,
water. You know,
here you go.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say you toss something in his bag before he gets to the airport. That's what I thought you were about to say.
no, I'm not.
No,
I'm
you
not
rather
trying
give
to
the
do.
man listeria.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to do life altering consequences. I'm just talking a mild bit of tummy trouble. You know, make life tough for your chassis crew.
We gotta wash that thing out.
Oh
No,
God.
they might just say leave that car, leave that car.
Leave that car in Mexico.
We'll exactly NASCAR Mexico Series. List,
NASCAR, excuse me, can I have a new chassis, please?
yeah, and just tell them leave that one. Tell them hey, let the Mexico Series. They can use that for parts or a show car. That is a show car now. Kids don't go inside that car.
That's even
It's
worse.
showing something, all right. It ain't what you want.
Mm. We move forward to 2311 corner. Um, cooking day for the 23 team. Bounce back from the speeding penalty. Finished P6. Tyler finished P9. Corey finishes P37 after his mishap on the track. And Riley brought it home 24th. Bubba came on the radio at the end of the race and fussed them out. Apparently, Toyota tried to get cute and bring the smaller brake package, and Bubba didn't have enough brakes to stay with and pass William Byron. Otherwise, he probably would have got a top 5 out of the ordeal. But the JGR cars and the 2311 cars complained of brake issues, which led them to the finishes where they finished at. I guess somebody from Chumba Casino wanted to prove me a point to, take back the dastard things that I said about how that's the new curse scheme. So I
Yeah, you said a
apologize.
lot. Yeah.
Chumba Casino. The Kufi car did its thing and finished P6. What y'all think about 2311's performance at Nashville?
I'll go first. They Bubba did say that they had someone or some people. I don't know if it was one or some, but they had some people from Chumba on site in Nashville from Australia. So they came a ways for that. He gave him a good show. Yeah, I think this was the kind of a week that the 23 needed. Outside of a win, this is about as good as you could hope for, considering you get a speeding penalty. They said it was 0.01 miles per hour over the speed limit in that section.
Petty bastards.
0.01. I just feel like if the 9 was 0.01, you'd look the other way. But that's neither here nor there. Get stuck a lap down. Don't take the wave around. Get the lucky dog. Able to drive back up to the field. I think it's a really impressive showing, honestly, for a track that was difficult to pass at. For them to be able to make that kind of a comeback and get a good finish out of it. Obviously he didn't get any stage points, but to still salvage a good day out of it, I think that is a really good testament, honestly, to the mental strength, the fortitude of the whole team. Not just Bubba as well, but Charles and the pit crew guys and all the other people in the box as well. Tyler was also really bad for a while in this race, and he came back to get a good finish out of it. But then when you got the youngins, the young lions, they were just there. I feel like for Riley, keep doing your best, Riley. Just keep doing your best. I feel so bad he didn't make the playoff bracket thing. Like he's like 100 points out or something. Like he wasn't gonna make it. I felt bad for him. And then for Corey, just made a rookie mistake, right, and just cleared himself off the six's nose. That's just a learning experience for him, and I think it's good to make those mistakes now versus when you're full time and the points really matter, right? The results really matter. Right now, you just need the experience. So yeah, I think overall though the ones that you want and expect to run well did. Bubba gained, I think, 2 spots in the standings, right? So all in all, that's a pretty successful weekend. Again, considering it could have been way worse, right? They could have been dog food 31st in the standings or in the results at the end of this. Like we've seen weeks like that happen, right? We just don't get that break. So I'm glad they were able to get it, and we go to Michigan. I'm not going to say anything about Michigan because we've come out here the last 2 years, and we
I
done
ain't
talked
saying
all
shit.
this shit about Michigan. We talked all that shit about Michigan. We talked shit about the Coke 600. We talked shit about Marzo. I ain't saying a damn
I ain't
thing
saying
except
a motherfucking thing.
we're going to Michigan. I'm going to make a factually correct statement, and that's all I have to say.
Let the church say amen. Peyton, what you think about 23-11?
Hang the banner for Riley. Great job. Yeah, that's the sort of things that will happen in your rookie year. Tell you what, so the poor 6 car, apparently, yeah, I saw Bubba get past him. Apparently he had to use up the 6 car to get that pass done. And then he has another 2311 just trying to clear himself. At this point, Brad just needs to go ahead and drive over to airspeed and just say, like, hey, is it something that I said? Is it something personally? Because, yeah, he just got a lot of physical contact from the 2311 cars. And it seems like Bubba always gets into a little bit of a fracas with the 6. And I think they get along. It's just, I think they're usually just sort of running in that same sort of territory. Overall, in the absence of big stage points for the 23 car, it's a momentum builder. It gets them directionally going in the right direction. It doesn't seem like their spirits had dropped after a abysmal May, but as we spoke about, all that healthy gap that they had is now it's gone, and they're not in a bad spot. I would still feel quite good about their ability to make the postseason, but they need to start clicking off stage points. Those are so big because you look at the points that were assigned for the folks in the top 10. Even though Bubba finished 6th, he pretty much only had the 8th most points among the people in the top 10, or like the 9th most points. So truthfully, I'd rather him finish 15th and get 2nd in both stages because that's going to pay out better. So they just got to get back onto that. But I'm glad to see they've rebounded. What I'm not going to do, and I'm glad no one else has done this, is do the like, oh, I wonder what could have happened if you didn't get that speed. Don't play that game, folks. Folks who are listening, don't play that game. You're just going to hurt yourself mentally. Because truthfully, I think he probably had like a 4th place car. And maybe track position, but no, just don't do that because it's useless. It's the reason why I get on you all, both y'all, in years where he showed promise in the first stage and then got into an accident. No, you can't sit there and extrapolate, well, he had a race-winning car. No, he didn't. He got crashed in the first stage. We did that last year at Michigan where it's like, oh, he had a race-winning car. Well, we don't know that because he died in the first stage. So, yeah. And then the 45, God, that car was strong, and glad they were able to build back. Also, in person, that car is really pretty. That white and black and blue Pinnacle.
Yeah, that Pinnacle car was gorgeous.
That
car was gorgeous.
Simple. I'm not going to get into the whole number placement because I really don't care. But just great use of open space where it's just simple. I love that car. And the Trump Casino, I like it because I like bright colors and I don't have great taste.
Yeah, I mean, Art said he wanted 7 stage points in the top 10. Well, you got 5 in the top 5 or top 10. So,
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, yeah, considering what happened, that's I can amend those expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a great day. Great day. For those of you who are fans that listen to us of the 23, the fishy car is up for pre-order from those bastards at Lionel. Please, please, please buy it. I've been trying to buy a Boba Diecast all fucking year, and you El Cheapo motherfuckers can't even tell them. You can't even lie. You be like, yeah, I want that, so it'll meet MOQ. Cancel the order after they milk it. Just reserve 500 of them so they can put them in a box and then just cancel all of them.
Endorse that kind of behavior now.
I can endorse that behavior. Yes, I can. That's how it gets made. The scammers get paid anyway.
All I'm gonna say is, you cannot trick me. I am familiar with your game. That's all I have to say. And not you, but you.
I know.
They know who they are. That's all I have to say.
Lights too bright. I'm going first because I don't want you bums to take it away from me. My light's too bright. Goes to actually no wait. I'm gonna back up. Hold on before we get there.
No, hold
on. Back up. I just want to commend. We're just gonna go back and focus on Bubba for a quick second. Bubba was on the post race show for Amazon. Once again, shout out to Amazon. Once again, shout out for them pouring up on, after the race. It reminds me of what we do. So I appreciated that segment. And they interviewed Bubba and Carl was interviewing him and asking him some questions. So after a day like today, what keeps you going? And then he had asked him, what is, you've been more relaxed and sort of more carefree about the results that you have. Does you being a father play a role into that? And Bubba said that, Bex just looks at him and he has, no idea what's going on. He just looks at Dad and smiles. And he said, that's one of the best things. And he started breaking down. He started getting emotional. So, it's, I like this season of Bubba that we're getting. I like the season of life that he's in. It feels like he really doesn't give a fuck about what happens in this race weekend. He's not going to let it ruin his happiness off the track. So, I commend him for being his natural self as always. But I feel like not that his carefreeness or his lack of care. Obviously, he cares about his job and what he does when the helmet's on. But I just feel like his current attitude that prioritizing off-track time more than on-track time is whenever the day comes when a sticker gets on the car, he's a threat. No, I don't care when it comes or how it happens, even if he makes the playoffs or not. But I just feel like if he gets a win this year, it's just gonna, encapsulate something bigger for him.
Can I let folks behind the curtain real quick? You were mentioning about that interview they did. So I didn't realize. So typically after the race, the top 5 have to stick around. And so after I got the video of Ryan Blaney and Victory Lane, I was like, well, let me just sort of hang around. And I was like, you know what? Let me go back to the media center, which is very close to Victory Lane, instead of me going to pit road to see who was still there. So it turns out Bubba was still there before his interview. And I probably could have, put the phone in his face and asked him questions. I don't have all the equipment to really feel comfortable trying to ask these drivers questions outside of being goofy with Carl Edwards. So anyway, I go back to the media center and I'm just sitting there shoveling Taco Bell into my face while Bubba's giving this really good interview. He's like, I should probably go back out there and see if I can't get some photos. Like, you know what?
Peyton.
No, this Taco Bell's still really good. So I just sat there and listened to the whole interview. I was like, well, listen, I at least got Victory Lane, video. We're good here. But yeah, when I went back and watched the interview, I felt kind of guilty. It's like, oh yeah, I was inside the media center shoveling $3 worth of tacos into my belly. So
this is a story you should have taken to the grave. You didn't have to share that one.
Listen,
I tried to Patreon this. Anywho, all right. Art, did you want to touch on that segment before we go back to lecture break?
Well, I mean, I wanted to touch on it, but I was gonna ask briefly for y'all's opinions on the Bubba interview as dads. Like, I mean, all I got are 2 cats, right? I ain't got no little humans at this point in time. So I was just curious to hear what y'all think on that, like that whole fatherhood changing you type conversation.
It's he's 100% right. It's a feeling that, hopefully I hope that you get to, to experience in your lives, but it's different having someone like depend on you. It's different having someone that like literally like your existence makes their whole day. Whether they can communicate that or not. So 100% can agree with Bubble that fatherhood is it's one of those amazing experiences, and it doesn't make you like question the steps that you take through life, but you gotta sort of just remember like, hey, there's some little people out here that depend on you for some things. So
Cool. Lights too bright.
Phew, Art in here trying to get me fucked up today. Um, Lights too bright. I go first. My lights too bright is Core of the Joy. This man, he turned down a full time truck ride. I'm sorry, saying that his sponsors are too big for Friday night races just to turn the fuck around and sign a 9-race deal with Spike. He's run the last 9 out of the last 13 races of the season. Brother. My brother in Christ.
What's the remember the quote in Avengers where Thanos is like, "You couldn't live with your failure, and where did that lead you? Back to me." That's the Truck Series to Corey LaJoy right now. Like you really had the audacity.
He did.
You know,
That shit's funny.
I kind of hate that. When I first said that, I don't know. Part of me kind of hated it because it's like, I have not enjoyed Corey LaJoy at all until like the last 2 weeks with him on this Prime broadcast. I like him on the Prime broadcast. Honestly, I think he's got a good role. Like, he doesn't overdo.
I like his segment.
I do. Like, he doesn't overplay like the comedy of like the DW Clint Boyer pipeline of like,
Right.
oh, I'm like a country driver or whatever. Like, he's really good in that role. I legit really enjoy it. But then I see him, he had like a damn AI generated image of his fans, air quote fans, after this announcement came out. And I was like, oh, come on, bud. Like, all right. Man, just
I just find it funny that they have him judging post victory celebrations.
ain't won nothing.
Do you have a lot of expertise in
That's the bit. That's why it works.
Honestly, in hindsight, why didn't they give that to Carl? Because like he's got the backflip. Well, I feel like he's not too serious on the broadcast. He's got an icon. He has like a top tier iconic celebration, so he would be like the resident expert on celebrating. Also, he's the only one up there on that panel, right? Not counting Dale Jr., who's won anything.
That's fair. But I just feel like it works better for Corey's personality, though. Like
it does.
Yeah.
It works better for Corey.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, on paper, that would make more on paper that would make more sense for Carl.
Yeah, this is my first time watching like the whole post show, and I was like, damn.
No, yeah, they're good.
Am I really here like giving kudos to Corey LaJoy? Is this what my life has become? Am I living in the Matrix? Which sugar lights you right?
I for one don't hate Corey LaJoy as much as y'all do.
Sorry, listen, Art. I think this is a testament to the fact that we continue to not be hypocrites. I
This
give
is
you
true.
praise when you've earned it in my eyes, and I give you scorn when you've earned it. And I don't mind giving Corey praise. Like I said, I think he's done really well. And I know he's done like, obviously he does like his podcast, and I'm sure he's done like some media stuff before, like
Right.
smaller stuff. This is probably
Right.
the biggest media thing he's done. But I think he nailed. I mean, Carl Edwards too, right? Like he was not a media guy who like did a bunch of announcing or anything that I can remember, right? He just kind of disappeared into the farmlands of the Midwest and came back and it act like he never left. So okay, my light's too bright. Can I give it to Peyton for eating Taco Bell in the media center? Now that I know this story. Fine, I'll be nice. I can't do that to Peyton. Peyton gets the opposite of lights too bright. He gets the UV blockers because he did a good job this weekend on the media credentials and all that. So Peyton, you get an attaboy. I'll give you the anti lights too bright this week.
Thank you. I still don't know if it was worth it in terms of that Taco Bell, but darn it, I've not had it in probably 7 or 8 years, and if it's free, I'll try it.
Pardon me. It's funny you say that. This is way off topic now, but I saw an ad for Taco Bell like a week ago, and I was like, I kind of want it. I haven't had it in like years, and I'm like, I kind of want it again.
You're not missing much. Don't do it.
Taco Bell is delicious.
I feel like it's exactly. If you are disappointed by Taco Bell, it's because you had unfair expectations.
It's not cheap enough.
Oh. Well, it's funny is I know exactly what you mean, and I don't have a counter for that. Like I have no counter argument.
In every way, in me being broke, it's not cheap enough. In what you pay for it, it's still not cheap enough. In the way it tastes, it's still not cheap enough. They gotta go lower still.
All right. Well, as we burn the bridge on any Taco Bell partnerships with the podcast,
Not me. Y'all did that. I can just have a solo deal.
I said I wanted it, and then Peyton
Peyton just don't get none. He don't get no.
Peyton put his hand on his shoulder
Doritos
and
Locos
said,
Tacos.
Listen, Peyton put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You don't want what you want." That's exactly what he did.
Hey, I'm just trying to save you $7, man.
My light's too bright. This really because it's kind of hard. There haven't been a lot of catastrophes really this week. I'm gonna give it to old boy Sheldon Creed because he fucked up that restart and caused $5 million worth of damage to cars that weren't his. So yeah, he still ain't win. As I say this, I gotta edit for him on my computer right now. I should just drop it, and then he'll win the next week.
They don't race again until never.
Well, all right. Sorry, fans, you don't get it. Sorry, now you gotta wait.
Off until Mexico City. You get a 2
What's
week
that?
break.
2 weeks?
Motherfuckers get more vacation than kids on summer break, dog. Race. Do your job. God damn. They were just off for 3 weeks, and these bastards get another 2 week break.
He said nobody wants to work.
No, in Xfinity's defense, this was their first off week, I think, coming up. Like, they've been hard at it.
No, they raced May 3rd at Texas, and then it raced again until the 600 on the 24th. They just had 3 weeks off.
No, that's inaccurate.
I'm looking at the NASCAR app. Lie to me again.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, well, yeah, never mind. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How you
Hands
get
up.
5 weeks off and race 2 times? This is disgraceful.
Oh yeah. They
Peyton,
raced,
who's your
May
light
3rd to the 24th. Yeah, 3 weeks off. Damn, you're right.
Jeez. God, that's a long month. Anywho, so mine, it's a large picture, but the lights were too bright. And I probably might not be able to get invited back ever again. Bristol Motor Speedway. How are you going to be the crown jewel of the state, the best racetrack that this great state of Tennessee had? And you know what? Nashville's stolen all your glory. There are celebrities there, I think. I don't follow country music. The place was
I
packed.
had a shit ton of people there too.
I have never seen Bristol packed in HD TV. You can look, it's all grainy footage. Bristol, it's not put on a great race. You look around the stadium at Bristol, they've got all these memorable moments. The most recent memorable moment they had up there was Tony Stewart throwing his helmet.
Mm.
That's nearly 15 years ago.
Damn, we old.
Yeah. In Nashville, every year I've gone there, something has gone. This is the first year I've gone where something hasn't gone horribly wrong. Either me getting heat exhaustion, rained on, bizarre stuff, and I hit that renew button so fast. I freaking love that place. That track is so awesome, so unique. And you know what? At this point, Bristol, you are not the best track in Tennessee. It goes to Nashville. I think we should give Bristol to Virginia and then take one of its states and give 2 to Nashville. That's my lights too bright because honestly, Bristol, you're the marquee short track, and you have not put on one race that wasn't just a insane good year. What the hell happened? That's what it takes to get a good race at Bristol now. You kidding me? You can't fill out the place. You can't fill out the place. No, give the place to Virginia. It's right across the street. Just redraw that line. Give it there. So then, like Richmond, we can cut a date without feeling bad.
You watch your damn mouth.
And take a date from Martinsville as well.
Hold up, no.
And see, I was with you. I was with
you up until the last time.
These are crazy.
I was with you until then.
I just like how I said I'm not going to be able to go to Bristol ever again.
So no one else can.
And I can't go to Martinsville. I just pretty much just I can never go back to Virginia. But yeah, enjoy Bristol, Virginia. Have it. It's your.
We really do. I didn't think about that. We got the three states. We got a little triangle here with Peyton, Tennessee, Jarrett, Virginia. I'm in North Carolina. We got a little synergy there. I mean, both of y'all states are ass, but I mean that's okay. That's neither here nor there.
Well, if you ask him,
Peyton is in Tennessee.
He lives in the Commonwealth.
Are y'all a Commonwealth too?
No, we're a state. We're not arrogant
because we're normal people.
Who's the other Commonwealth? Is it Kentucky?
Pennsylvania.
Damn, he knew that quick. I would have. I had zero idea. There was a second
Jeopardy
one.
Boy. I'm about to put you on Jeopardy.
We did that. Never mind.
Oh, while we're here, we're gonna move to open mic. I just wanted to give a shout out to Twitterless Josiah. He alerted me that we had made the broadcast, and then our listeners started tagging us and sending us the pictures and notifications going crazy. Phone's still going crazy. I just want to give Peyton public thanks again because unlike some people who we work with when they get credentials, they work. So thank you, Peyton, for your steps on your hokas to bring content to the masses.
Dude, I about died on Saturday because I ran 12 mile. So I did a 12-mile run before I left for the track, and then I stacked on like another 6 or 7 miles.
This man is committed to fitness, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, that trolley to get me out of the infield was so clutch because I'm like, you know what? I could probably walk out of the infield. And I was like, wait, this is a 1.3 mile track. Like that's, I'm not about. So yeah, that trolley saved me. And then yeah, all I did on Sunday was went to the media center, went to pit road, and then I went and camped out at turn 2, which I'm going to transition real quick to my open mic. Really, really sorry, honey. You're never going to be listening to this, but when we retire, I am getting that RV and I'm camping in the infield, watching a motor race from the infield. I see why people like it. It gives you it's such a nice perspective because I've watched races from the infield, but where you really have very poor visibility. Nashville has a few sections where you can see a lot of the track, and to be at eye level with the cars is really unique. Like it adds a whole new perspective because you can see the cars going over the bump, exiting turn 2. Yeah, That's the most fun I've had, mainly just because watching a race from the infield being that close. Beautiful.
Also, another open mic. I just wanted to thank Jane down in Daytona who did the Daytona tour with me. Appreciate you. I too had those delusions of grandeur for RVing the infield had a Daytona race, and she was like, "Yeah, here's the side with the the hookups for water, bathing, the like, and then here's the side we call this the dry side because you don't get none of that." And I was like, "Damn." And they said, "But we do have this hut over here that's got bathrooms and showers." I was like, "Well, shit, you take a bath in swimming trunks just to say you was in the infield at Daytona?" I don't know how I feel about that, but it made me wonder. I might look up the RV prices for the wet side and see if Camping World, we call up what's the boy name that own Camping World, call him up and see if he can't get a a VLV tandem axle, little something for a race one year. We borrow it, give it back.
What is happening?
I'm air brake
What is
certified.
this
You know what I'm saying? We could ride down there in style.
What is this segment? What is happening?
It's open mic.
I mean, is it open? It seems very closed. It's one topic for 4 minutes. This is the opposite of open mic. What do you mean?
I can't say that. I was about to say something extremely out of pocket.
It's never stopped you before.
I think old boy listened though, so I can't say it.
All right. Well, then you keep that in your pocket. Open mic.
I will.
I really don't have anything this week, honestly. I'm not gonna yap just to yap.
Jared's kind of delirious right now.
I mean, it's 11:12 p.m. I've been up since 5:30. So we're going to call it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we appreciate you listening to the show. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. We appreciate you. We'll see you back after Michigan. And I'm going to play the theme music this time. Here we go.